Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place.
Hello and welcome to the Joecast, brought to you by the YMCA. Luke West Poley, glad to be joined alongside by Blake Griffin and Joe's assistant coach, Ryan Finnerty. A new season for the Hamilton Joes, trying to defend that title from a year ago back in 2021. How you guys feeling about the upcoming season?
We're excited, Luke. First of all, welcome back, Luke. Blake, welcome to Hamilton. No, we're excited to get going. We have a great group of guys, a great group of interns, and it's going to be a good season. Should
be a great one, Blake. It's your first year in Hamilton. How have your first few days here been?
It's been great. Got a great group of interns. The team looks great. Just really excited to call some winning baseball. Called winning baseball over the college season. Looking to keep that rolling.
Yeah, Blake called some winning baseball during the college season. I got to call some winning baseball last summer for this team. And once again, the Joes trying to defend their title that came a season ago. It was the third title in team history. They knocked off the Lima Locos in 3 games. So, Ryan, we got the roster up. We got some players that we want to highlight. We'll go through every single one of them just so we can have an idea of what this team is going to look like. But first, I want to start with our returners because we do have a few guys that are returning from that team last year. And we will start, I think, with the lone batter in the lineup and the guy behind the dish, the only guy who's not a pitcher who's coming back this season, and that would be Evan Ulrich.
Yeah, we're excited to have Evan. You know, last summer he was in the middle of, looking for a new school, transferring out of Ohio State. He found a home in Charleston, and I think it's a really good fit for him. He came back. He throws better, hits better, a lot bigger. So I'm excited. He's going to have a good summer.
Yeah, Evan back. He backstopped a really solid Joes pitching staff from last year, led the league in ERA, and with the Joes catchers calling the pitches, they were certainly a big part of that. So now let's turn over to those pitchers, and we'll start off with Zach Breeden, the hometown guy from Miami Hamilton, who's back for his second year with the Joes.
Yeah, I mean, last summer he came in and didn't get to play in the spring. They were shut down at Miami Hamilton this spring. He got a full season under his belt, threw like 50 innings. And so this stuff's looking good. Has better breaking ball, controlling the zone better. So the numbers weren't necessarily what he wanted last year, but, he's poised to come back this summer and put up some good numbers.
And then now we've got Clay Brock. He was really good coming kind of out of a starting role for the Joes last season out of Central Michigan, and Clay will be back for another year as well. He was really exciting to watch last year. Should be no different this year as well.
Yeah, no, it's huge that he wanted to come back. He had an opportunity to go somewhere else and told his coach, no, I want to come back to Hamilton. He wants to win again. And so, no, he had a 2-something ERA last year. So bringing someone like that back is big.
Yeah, Clay Brock out of Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, another local guy. And that'll turn us to another local guy from Baden High School and the UC guy in Chase Hopewell.
Oh, yeah.
He had a fantastic, just the success story of summer collegiate baseball, if you had to kind of embody that into one player, it's Chase Hopewell.
Yeah, no, he struggled a little bit at school last year, but another guy, he was in the transfer portal last year, so had something to prove, came out and put up a huge season. He's the guy that, I've been talking around town to some people about, our upcoming season, and he's the one that they're like, oh, he's coming back, yeah. Because, he's tall, blonde, physical, long hair, just comes right at everybody, throws hard. So he's exciting to watch. I'm glad he was able to come back.
Yeah, Chase was fantastic, and you just got to see him come in last year, local guy from Baden High School, played at University of Findlay, like Ryan said, and eventually once he started to pitch really well, we saw some scouts come in and look at him once he was in the transfer portal from schools all over the place. Eventually he decided to stay local and come back to the Cincinnati area and play for UC, and he just really did a fantastic job last year. We're really excited to have him back. All right, so we had a few returners, and now we've got all the new guys. There's a whole bunch of them, and so we'll list them all, and they've all got something that they're bringing to the table, Ryan. So we'll start off right at the top. Jacob Beal, the sophomore from Akron.
Yeah, we've got a full roster, 32 guys. A lot of these guys I saw for the first time. As the staff, we saw for the first time, just within the last 2 or 3 days. So these are kind of first impressions for us, but we've been following them for a while. Beal's somebody that, I'm pretty close with Coach Me up at Akron. He said, the kid's going to be pretty good. He's tall, physical. His 2-seamer runs a ton. Got some innings at Akron as a freshman. So I'm excited. He should be pretty good for us this year.
We move down alphabetical order to Tegan Bork. 6'4", 195, big dude. Big righty senior out of LSU, Eunice. Just talk to me about what that fastball looks like. I'm sure with the height, definitely looks good.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see all the way down this roster. I think we have 8 pitchers who are 6'4" or taller. So we've got a really, really big physical team this year. But taking somebody that, kind of his coach said he's 99-2 with the cutter. I came out the cutter's legit. I think that's probably going to be his go-to pitch. He said that's what it is. But he's somebody who could step into a pretty big role for us.
Well, last year, safe to say the Joes had a pretty good pitcher coming out of Ball State, and now a new guy coming in from Muncie, and that'll be Nate Dome, the sophomore right-hander, 6'4", 215, another big guy, and he should be really exciting to watch.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, we had Klein out of Ball State last year. He did really, really well here. And so Ball State was willing to send another guy our way, and Dome. One thing that you'll see this year, I think, compared to last year, is that top to bottom, we're just really, really deep. We don't have anybody at the bottom of the roster who's just not going to play or not going to contribute. And so Dome, well, I'm going to talk big about Dome right here. There's not one guy on this roster that I don't think is going to have a big part in our team this year. But with that said, Dome came in and he told me, first thing he told me is his goal is to throw 100. His last outing at Ball State, I heard he hit 99. So he's going to be the hardest thrower in the league. He's massive, 6'4", 215, 220 pounds, moves really well. I mean, he throws really, really hard. So that's definitely going to play. He pounds the zone with it too. I think he played Miami near the end of the year through complete game, 13 Ks. So I mean, the stuff's real. So I'm excited to see how that plays.
Yeah, that's one of the guys that even the last couple of days looking at the roster and looking over the previous stats, the stats just kind of jump off the page, intangibles and being that tall. But moving on, got Wyatt Fisher out of Cedarville, 6'1", 185, just down the road, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, we had one of our coaches here a couple years ago, Eric Menshaw, owns a facility, Ohio Baseball Science Academy, over in Westchester. And so we talking to him, get a lot of guys out of that facility. Breeden trains there. Clay Brock trains there. But Wyatt Fisher's another guy. He's a freshman this year. Trains there, goes to Cedarville. Got a lot of innings this year as a freshman at Cedarville. And I think his breaking stuff's really going to play. He's 86, 88. He's probably not going to overpower a ton of guys with a fastball, but it's hard enough that it'll play, especially when he uses that curveball well.
Moving down the list to the next guy, Dane Hall, 6'6", 240, plays for the Toledo Rockets collegiately.
Yeah, he went to he was originally coming to Louisville, ended up at Toledo, went in as a two-way, and then, they can hit up at Toledo, and so they told him, you know what, you're gonna pitch next year, and so he's been really, really working on pitching. He's come a long way. The last time I saw him was in the fall, so in the last 8 months, he's come a long way. His fastball is going to be anywhere from the upper 8s into the low 90s, and the slider looked really, really good in the pen the other day. So he's a guy, he hasn't pitched since high school. He didn't play a ton this spring, or at all this spring. So I'm excited to see him get back on the mound and see what he can do now.
We move on. 2 of the Halls, back-to-back Halls, both D Halls. We had a conversation about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But lefty, 6'4", 170, a little bit less on the poundage than Dane Hall, but tall just the same. Playing for the Golden Gophers of Minnesota, Dawson Hall.
Yeah, he's the guy. We talked about that the other day. How are we going to differentiate the Halls? Because we went Hall, and then we went D Hall, and that didn't fit. DA Hall, that fits them both. So we talked Big Hall, Little Hall, but it's hard to call Dawson Hall Little Hall when he's 6'4".
Exactly.
But no, he's from Kentucky, went up to Minnesota, got, I think in 3 games this spring. Nothing crazy, but, he's the guy that in the pen the other day, he looked the part. He looked the part to someone who'd go to a Power 5 school. Fastball moves, he dots it up, breaking stuff sharp. So I haven't seen him pitch outside of that one bullpen, but, from everything they've said, he's a guy who's, got a shot to have a lot of success.
Up next, we got a pair of guys from a school that's going to be transitioning to D1 in the coming years, starting off with Shea Hendrickson from Southern Indiana.
Yeah, Shea was kind of a late pickup for us. We got, our roster fluctuates. We start this process August 1st, basically, right after the championship. And so, we sign guys, and then they drop off for one reason or another throughout the year, and we had a pitching spot open up, and he had a couple buddies on the team and reached out. So, I don't know too much about Shea, but watching him in the pen the other day, I mean, he's a professional. Like, he treats himself like a professional. When he pitches, it's throwing strikes. Everything moves. he's very similar to Wyatt Fisher in that way. Like, I think he's going to be a guy that can come out and eat some really valuable innings for us.
Moving on to Tyler Hudson, another Southern Indiana guy, our second Kentucky guy so far. Big righty, another 6'4" guy.
Yeah, I mean, I met him on, Thursday when we first showed up. But he had a wedding this weekend, so I haven't seen him throw yet. You know, I talked to his college coach. He said the stuff's there. He's just got to figure out how to pitch. Sometimes it means they can't throw strikes. Sometimes it means they just haven't gotten an opportunity. I'm hoping it's the latter, but we'll see. I think that he has a chance to, come and prove something.
Well, the Raider gang at Wright State certainly provided some big contributions last year. They got a guy on the Joe staff again this year, and that's Josh Lazier.
Yeah, Josh is someone, again, they were in the tournament, so I think he gets here in a couple hours, actually. So I haven't seen him pitch yet in person, but Keegan Burney, who coached with us last year, he's at Wright State now, so he's talked to me about him a few times, and the arm's live. That's what everybody's told me. The arm's live. It plays. Fastball, I guess, has been up to 95 this spring. Breaking stuff looked all right. I know he had a decent outing against some better teams in their spring season. But no, I want to see him in a pen. I think that he's got a chance to step in and really be electric.
Always love to see those Wright State guys, big D1 guys. Ben McGue, another 6-footer, Lincoln Trail College, another Kentucky guy. It seems like I'm getting all the Kentucky guys so far. Talk to you a little about him.
Yeah, Ben's kind of a wild card for us. He out in high school he was up to 93, looked really good, but he got hurt and is just rehabbing back. So his first game with us will be his first game since his senior year of high school a year ago. So he was good in high school, and when you're coming back from rehab, I'm sure there'll be some rust to knock off. His pen was fine the other day, but you can tell there's a little bit of rust there. But he's a guy that I think he's gonna make me earn my paycheck. We're gonna have to work out the kinks, but the arm works. It's there.
Next up, Sean Perkins, 6'4", 196, another big guy, sophomore out of Akron.
Yeah, him, and we'll get to Wilsbach here in a second. They're our Sam Matthews of this year. They throw from down under. It's funky how he gets there, and it just comes right at you with Perkins. He's not a guy, some guys you see are super bent over, they change their posture. He's a guy that he's straight up, straight at you, and then all of a sudden the ball's coming from somewhere you didn't expect it to come from. And it's hard, and it moves, and the slider's sharp. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays. I think he's another guy from Akron that got a lot of innings as a freshman. And so with that experience, carrying that into the summer, it should play well.
Another lefty coming up next, Noah Tincher, 6'3", 185, out of St. Joseph's University. Hamilton, Ohio, hometown guy.
Yeah.
Always love to see the hometown guys.
Yeah, went to Baden. He's another guy that, like Shea Hendrickson, we were full at one point, and then he reached out right when we lost somebody, and the timing worked out. He's a hard-throwing lefty. Didn't have a chance to pitch at school just because, with the portal and the extra years for COVID, there were a bunch of old guys there. But he's going to get a shot to pitch this summer and hopefully eat some innings. It comes out really, really well. He's got the frame, so if there's something there, we'll just see if he figures it out.
Another lefty and John Rutz from Tiffin University up next.
Yeah. No, Rutz is another lefty, like you said, and the arm's really, really good. That's top to bottom. There's not one guy who, can't really throw the baseball well. He's got a couple little things we're going to work on. He's kind of all over the place in his pen, but you can tell it's there, right? And he did it at school in their pens. So I think it was a little bit of nerves, first time playing college summer baseball, but it's all there. Fastball's good, breaking ball's good, changeup's good.
And then to round out all of our pitchers, another Southern Indiana guy, that trifecta of guys, your big guy, 6'5", 220, sophomore right-hander Alec Wilsbach.
Yeah, you see 6'5", 220, you think, wow, he's going to right over the top come at you, and he's the complete opposite. He's big, and he's the guy I talked about Perkins dropping down, and it didn't look like he's dropping down. Wilsbach's the opposite. He's bent over, and you know right where it's coming from, and you still can't hit it. The videos I've seen on him and the reviews I've heard from coaches on him is that he's a worker, he knows how to pitch, and he's going to just come right at you with his stuff, and it works.
Yeah, so the Joe's pitching staff was fantastic last year. It looks very, very promising this year. This has kind of been a pitching-forward team. This has been a team that's been focused on not giving up a whole lot of runs. We hope that trend continues this year. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that this is a team that can't hit. The team could hit last year, and we got some really solid guys that'll be at the plate this year. So we got the one catcher that we haven't gotten to yet to start that off, and that's Nick Wimmers out of Nebraska.
Yeah, our catching situation's been kind of funny this year. It was that way last year, too. We've had, I think, 3 or 4 catchers fall through the cracks as we've gone along, and Nebraska just likes to time it up right. Last year, as soon as we lost an outfielder, they called with Leighton Banjoff. And this year, as soon as we lost a catcher, they called with Nick Wimmers. He's an older guy, went to Moeller. He's going into his, I believe, his 5th year. And so went to JUCO, bounced around a little bit, settled in at Nebraska. He can hit. You know, that's the reviews on him. He can hit. Switch hitter, big, physical in the box. Catching-wise, he'll split time between catching and first, but, you know, he went to Nebraska for a reason, you know.
Moving on to our infielders, Clay Badalak at a Frontier CC. Hit .355 in his season last year, or this spring, I suppose, 16 RBIs. Hoping he's going to bring some of that here this season.
Yeah, we won back in 2010, our center fielder with Jimmy Brenneman. He's now coaching at Frontier Community College. So that's why we have a bunch of guys from there. But no, he told us, Clay's, you know, what you need. He's local, which helps. You know, don't have to find many host families. But no, I mean, he's a legit college infielder, and he pitches too. He's, I guess, 86, 88 on the bump. Threw a light pen the other day. But defensively, he's pretty sound. And like you said, he hit .350 in a good JUCO conference. So, you know, I'm excited to see what he can contribute.
Next up, a guy from north of the border, the lone Canadian on this team from Pickering, Ontario, Cal Brazier from Tiffin University.
Cal's the kind of hitter we haven't had in a couple of years. If you look back the last couple of years, we've had first basemen like Preston Miller, Leighton Banjoff, where they're really, really good hitters, but they're driving balls to the gaps, they're stealing bases, they're solid defensively. If you remember back to a few years ago, we had Griffin out of Northern Kentucky, now at Oklahoma State. This is that kind of hitter. I mean, big, physical guy in the box, hits the ball a mile. He's wearing out the houses in batting practice. We'll see if it translates to the game. You know, there's always that factor in there, but he hit like .350 at school, so I'm not that worried about it. The wood bat will be, you know, a little different for him, but for a guy that size, it shouldn't matter.
Move on to one of the corner guys I think we talked about, Walker Bridges before, another LSU Eunice guy. Got a couple guys at LSU Eunice.
Yeah, no, we got in with their coach this year, and he sent us a couple guys that he thinks have a really, really high ceiling, and Walker's one of those guys. You know, I haven't seen these guys hit outside of batting practice, really, and he didn't play at school. So we'll see if it plays in the game, but the swing's good, sprays line drives everywhere, and then defensively, he's a really, really good defensive third baseman. Reminds me a lot of Addison Coffey a couple years ago. But, you know, looking at Prep Baseball Report goes around to different junior colleges, and they do their scout days, and they post their leaderboards on all these different stats. And Walker Bridges was the #1 junior college arm in the country from third base. He throws it over at 95 miles an hour, which is insane. So I'm really excited to see him play over there.
Next up, from Murray State University, it's the sophomore Riley Hawthorne.
Yeah, Riley's a guy that I think is going to plug in a lot of different places for us. Plays a little bit of second, a little bit of third, lefty swinger, just sprays the ball everywhere. He's really, really fundamentally sound from what we've seen so far. Just does everything the right way. And, you know, at Murray State, I think he kind of came off the bench and platooned a little bit, but he had a lot of success there, and hopefully that carries over.
Move on to Parker Lester, just down the road at Miami U, 6'4". We talked about jersey sizes, 6'4", big jersey to fill.
Yeah, we're gonna have some big old dudes in the middle of the lineup this year, and he's one of them. You know, I'm excited to see him hit. The frame's there, like you said, 6'4", 200. Another lefty swinger. We haven't had a lot of those in the last couple of years, so it's nice to get back into that. But didn't start at Miami at first, and then as a freshman worked his way into the everyday lineup. Moved around the infield a little bit, showed some versatility. So, you know, hopefully he can plug in and really help us.
Yeah, a lot more lefty batters in the lineup this year, certainly,
Oh, yeah.
than last year. Let's move on back to another righty. This is Samuel Lowe, the senior from Charleston Southern out of Littleton, Colorado.
Yeah, Sam's a guy. He goes to Charleston Southern, like you said. Originally, we didn't have a spot for him when the Charleston Southern coach first called us. And the more I thought about it, the more I just, I looked at the kid and everything he'd done in his college career. He's an older guy. He's been around to a couple different schools. But he's a guy that, we just felt we couldn't pass on. And, seeing him come in, I'm glad that we made that choice. He's a real, Division I college shortstop. He can handle the position really well. He's physical, hits the ball well. So, I think he'll really help us out in the middle.
Second to last guy out of the infield position, Tristan Melvin out of Coker.
Yeah, he's another guy. Freshman, didn't play a ton, but he's a local kid, had a lot of success, all the way up through high school. Plays all over the infield, plays the outfield, really, really versatile. So, he'll get his time and hopefully help us out quite a bit.
And lastly, in the infield, a guy that you talked to us earlier about, you were really excited about, Max Palmieri from UC.
Yeah. No, I tried to sign Max, or I did sign Max in 2020 in the COVID canceled season. So getting him back, I was really excited about. Unfortunately, he had a little injury come up at the end of the year at UC. Nothing crazy, but it'll keep him out the first week or two. But when he comes back, I'd expect him to find his way in the lineup somewhere. He's a middle infielder. Ended up at UC for a reason. They're good. They can hit. And he played quite a bit there.
Moving on to our outfielders, we talked a little bit about our outfielders being able to range the gaps and really have a couple of arms. We'll start things off with Bennett Clement.
Yeah, one of the things that we really liked about our team last year, and I think it contributed a lot to our success on the mound as much as anything, is our whole outfield. Any of the guys you put out there could go get the baseball. Right? Nothing fell in out there. We called it the no-fly zone. And so I think we have a group that can do very, very similar things this year. They all, run like the wind. Bennett's a guy, he runs like a 6'6", 60, which is fast for those of you that don't know those times. But, they at LSU Eunice this year had a very old roster that had won a College World Series the year before. So he didn't get, much time there. But he's going to be, hopefully, a big part of what we're doing this year in center.
Next up in the outfield from University of Charleston, it's the lefty Casey Fink.
Yeah, Casey's a guy that started at Penn State, ended up at Charleston this year, and he's a hitter. He's a big physical lefty, and just plays the game the right way. He can run, he can hit, he can throw in the outfield, goes and gets baseballs. I was with the pitchers the last couple of days. I can't say too much on how he's hitting, but everything I've seen from him in the past and talking to his coaches, he's going to be the real deal for us.
Moving on to Caden Konzak, another lefty, back-to-back lefties out of Toledo, one of the other Toledo guys.
Yeah, I was at Toledo in the fall coaching, and so I knew Caden, and we picked him up for a reason. He's one of those guys that every time you watch him, you see him do something that you didn't know he was that good at it. You look at him at first, and he's, 5'10", 170 pounds, and you're like, oh, he's going to be okay. And then you watch him throw, and you're like, wow, he's got a good arm. Then you watch him go get a baseball you didn't think he would get to. Then you watch him get up to the plate in BP, and he's, hitting the ball over the right field fence. Like, wow, he can do. He just does more than you think he would. And so, we're gonna rotate all these guys in, but I'd be surprised if Caden doesn't step up as one of our better guys this summer.
And next up, another Cincinnati guy, this time another Ball State Cardinal, and Grant Miller.
He's probably the guy I'm most pleased with so far, based on kind of what I knew we were getting. He's one of the better high school areas, or one of the better high school hitters in the area, coming out of high school, went to Ball State, and they're perennially one of the better schools in the MAC. But, you look at him, and he's not flashy, right? He can run, though. He can really, really run, and he uses that, better than most guys I've seen. He gets some of the best reads I've seen in the outfield. Just goes and gets the baseball, and then at the plate, he's just solid. He's compact, short, and just drives the ball to gaps, and then lets his speed work.
Rounding things out in the Joe's roster, rather. Andrew Patrick, Wright State, probably your biggest outfielder at 6'4", 185, out of Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I had a scout tell me when we picked up Andrew that he was probably the best athlete on any baseball field in Ohio. He ran a 6.4 60 time, which is elite. And in that with that size body is impressive. He was a all-league player, all-freshman team player in the Horizon League this year. Played third base or left field every day for Wright State. They won the conference. So I haven't seen him yet because they were in the regional like Leisure. But I'm excited to see what he's got. The tools are all there.
Yeah, so that'll round out our preview on the whole roster. Ryan, before we let you go, opening day tomorrow, make sure everyone comes out to Foundation Field. Obviously, this team wants to repeat as GLSCL champions. Are there any specific goals you have in mind, though, for your squad this season?
Win.
Just win?
Just win.
Just win.
No, I mean,
Win a lot.
the last however many years, we've had the best offense in the South, and we've had the best pitching in the league. So we want to strike out the most guys, walk the fewest guys, allow the fewest runs, score the most runs, steal the most bases. We want to be the best at everything.
Just dominate everything.
Yeah, there's no areas where we don't think we can be the best. And so our guys know that coming in. They've been given those expectations, and they've handled it really well so far. But, we'll see how it translates in the game. At the end of the day, it's a game. We come out, have fun, and do our best.
Well, you love to hear it. Well, based off everything you've said, Ryan, should be a pretty exciting year again of Joe's baseball. Once again, opening day, Tuesday, June 7th here at Foundation Field. That'll be against the Xenia Scouts in a 7:05 start. You can catch games all season long here at Foundation Field. You can also follow along on the Joe's Radio Network, where every game, home and away, will be live streamed on YouTube. Blake Griffin and I will have the call of all of those. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. Excited for the season to get started. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Thanks, Luke.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. So for my partner, Blake Griffin, we'd like to say thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of the Joecast presented by the YMCA. We'll see you next week. Excited for this new season of Joe's Baseball to kick off. Make sure to join us for opening day tomorrow on the broadcast. Until then, so long.